Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll give it a second while people are filing into the call, but it's so good to have all of you here. I know summers are either super busy socially, but like kind of quiet for work, but we're happy that you found the time to be here after the long holiday weekend to talk about one of me and Anna's favorite gizmos, gadgets that we get to deal with at work, Photon Coding Robot, which is such a cool tool for teaching coding and robotics for really anyone. When we say anyone, we mean anyone, even me.
Yes.
So we're super excited to get started. A couple housekeeping things from me. So if you have questions throughout the session, feel free to put it in the chat. If you don't know where the chat is, head to
Oh,
the
yep.
little bottom bar on your Zoom, and there is, kind of a standard chat icon. You can hop into there, put any of your questions in there. I'll be keeping an eye on it and passing it over to Anna throughout the session and at the end when we have a little extra time. The second thing is if you want to get that coffee gift card that we always have for coffee and convos, stick around until the end and take the exit survey. It's just a couple quick questions. It lets us learn a little bit about you and how you'd want us to follow up with you if you're interested in learning more about Photon from us after the call. So with that, I think I can pass it on over to Anna to really get us rolling.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
We will get sharing my screen here. Can you see it?
Yes.
You can see my screen. Perfect. All right. I think, are we able to mute everybody, Kate? Or
Yep.
awesome. As much as I want to talk to everybody. Thanks for being here, everyone. As Kate said, Photon is one of our favorite things to talk about. And as she said, anybody can use Photon. Anybody can work with Photon, which is, the most exciting thing about this. It's so intuitive. It's great for beginners to people who are more comfortable with programming. And we've got a pretty quick, speedy webinar planned for you today. We're going to rush through this. Well, we're not going to rush. We're going to take our time, but we're going to give you a lot of information in a small amount of time. As Kate said, please feel free to ask questions as we're going. If we can't answer it right now, then we will get you that answer as soon as possible after the webinar. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm Anna Hanrahan, and usually I don't spend a whole lot of time introducing myself, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time today either, but I do think it's important to give a little bit of my background. I am a teaching and learning consultant here at Trifera. I've been here for about 3 years now, actually 4.5 if you talk a little bit about the consulting work I did as well. But prior to that, I was an elementary school teacher in Central Illinois for 20 years. And my last few years of that, I was the K through 6 STEM teacher and gifted teacher. And we didn't have a STEM program before I spun it up. We didn't have anything. I didn't even really know a whole lot about what STEM was or what that looked like or the importance of it or why kids needed it. So I really immersed myself in a lot of research, going to a lot of conferences, playing with all of the things, especially robotics. One thing I knew was robotics was going to be a really, really, really important part of all of that. And so during my journey as the STEM teacher, I had my hands on lots of devices, all the most popular ones and even some more obscure ones as well. And, everything that I ended up implementing in my classroom had a place. And, I have good things to say about all of them because I did do my research on it. But they all had really great components that were individual to that specific robot. And it wasn't until I was introduced to Photon where I found all of the great things that I liked about all of these different robots all condensed in one nice, tidy package. So that's why I'm so excited to be here today. I have worked with Photon with students. I have been in there hands-on. I've worked on it with students. I've worked with it with teachers. And I'm just really excited to take you through some of the features and benefits of Photon. So, that's my background from being in the trenches and to where I am now. So before we really start getting into the nitty gritty of Photon, I want to talk about how we can actually use it with all students across the curriculum. Photon is not just for the STEM teacher and the STEM class in that silo. It should be used across all the different subjects with all the different teachers. And like we said, it is great for beginners all the way to those who are more comfortable with programming. So using it with your students, the first and foremost with robotics, using it with students is really focusing on those future ready skills, working with their creativity, their communication, their problem solving, their critical thinking skills. All of that just comes naturally when they're working with these robotics, which is important across all subjects. But I want to get into the specific subjects here just before we start getting into it, so you can just kind of have a wider idea of just how this might look in your school, in your particular classroom, wherever it is you might be. So these are just some different ideas of how you can incorporate photon robots across these different subjects. Math, one of the great things about photon is it is very precise. It moves on its axis with an accuracy of 5 degrees or half an inch accuracy. So I've gotten into classrooms and we've used photon robots to measure angles and geometric figures to, you masking tape a robot to its belly and you go out there and you draw different angles, you draw different figures, you draw lines, and the different children come in there and they measure them and see how close it gets to the accuracy. So you can code them to do that. You can code them to create circles and then go in there and measure the circumference, the perimeter, different things like that. Some fun activities for using photon robots in math is with the younger ones, you might create your own number mat and you could race or code the photon robots to go and land on the correct sum or difference or product of whatever the answer of that problem might be. So those are some ideas for math. For science, one fun thing we always did was the friction frenzy, where we would race the photons on different surfaces to discuss friction and how it affects the movement. Why is it going so much more slowly on that carpet than it is on the tile? We've coded it to be pollinators and follow the paths on a coding mat detailing that process of being a pollinator, or even creating different devices to attach to the robot to come up with ideas of new ways to pick up trash or recycling. As far as ELA, we'll go this next one. Digital storytelling is the best one. With mats, you create this big whole scene and you code the robot to go around on the mat and tell a story. You could use the robots for character development. For social studies, my favorite thing is to create a timeline out of butcher paper, decorate your photon robot, dress it up like Abraham Lincoln or Benjamin Franklin, and code it to go down that timeline. And at each date, stop and talk about what was important that happened at that date. You can even record within Photon a few seconds of audio and have the photon robot itself tell that. And as far as art and PE, those are super fun. You can, like I said, you can tape markers to photon and it can make its own art. You can even take an expo marker. He's white. This is what he looks like. You can take expo markers and decorate him and wipe it all off. You can decorate him however you want, and dress him up to look like somebody. And as far as PE, you can code it to dance, and then students can mimic the movements. So that's just a really quick overview of what it might look like across the curriculum before we really start digging deep into the specific features of Photon. Are there any questions, Kate? So far, I thought I saw something come in, maybe not.
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Well, we will get going then. I like to say that Photon, the three main things that I love about Photon is that it's versatile, it's easy, and we've got the PD. Trifera's got the PD, and Photon has the PD as well. So I'm going to quickly go through the slide deck with you, but then I'm going to take a few minutes and show you Photon's website, because it is truly one of the best educational websites that I've come across. It is so well laid out, and the amount of resources and materials that they have for educators on there is really second to none. So we're going to take a look at that once we get through this. But as far as versatility, Photon, the number one thing that teachers get excited about is that it's device agnostic. So you can use it on iOS devices, you can use it on Android devices. It's got free apps for those, but you can also use it on Macs, Windows, and Chrome devices. It does need a little dongle for those Mac, Windows, and Chrome devices. It's like a little USB that you plug in that gets everything working how it should. But the applications on there, once you have those in, are flawless, seamless. It's got all of the apps built right in, and it can work on any device, almost any device. There's also a wide variety of coding features, and the applications grow with the K to 12 learners. And we're going to keep touching on this. Photon is appropriate for kindergarten, even pre-K, I would say, all the way up through high school students. The applications are designed to grow with the learners, and I'm going to show you what we mean with that as we get going. But here are a few of the coding features on the Photon robot. He doesn't look like much. He's so simple, which is, purposeful. He doesn't have bright, shiny, flashy colors or lots of, obnoxious features or anything like that. He's very simple. He's very sleek, but in this little package is a whole lot of coolness. So here are a few of his coding features. He does have the light detection. So when the lights turn on or off, you can code him to start and stop with light detection. That's really fun to use with flashlights as well. Touch detection right on his head. You can, activate him by simply touching him. Obstacle detection. If it runs into something, it will turn around and go the other way. It can communicate with other robots, and measuring the travel distance. That's a huge one for incorporating this tool with math. The measurement is just, the opportunities for that are just really, really cool using that in math lessons. I touched on this a little bit earlier with the measurement of the rotational angle. It's extremely precise. And it also has magnetic mounts for additional accessories. Photon does sell different magnets and different magnetic things you can put on it. There's lots of different spots on him that are magnetic where, if students are dressing him up to look like something, a lot of times instead of putting tape all over it, they'll use a magnet to attach a cape or, pieces of fabric. The magnets also work with some of the teaching kits that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and it's a really cool, handy, helpful feature to have those magnetic mounts. He does have these LED eyes and the antenna. The eyes and the antenna do change a whole variety of colors, which looks cool, but is also written into a lot of the lessons for Photon as well, especially with the social emotional learning, changing different colors to convey his emotions, his feelings. It's got the unique sounds. That's a pretty cool part of it. They've got a whole bunch of sounds built into the apps, all sorts of different animal sounds, as well as different sounds that people make. There's giggles, there's cries, there's moans, there's sighs, all of the sounds that you can think of, again, that work right into these lessons with the social emotional learning. How are you feeling? Explain to me why you feel that way. Really, really powerful stuff. He does have sound detection. So if you clap above him, that can start and stop him. And it has the black line brown contrast detection. So if a student takes a permanent marker and draws a black line, it will follow that line, which is really cool. You might be familiar with that with other robots such as Ozobot, but Photon can do that as well. So those are a few of his features. I keep calling him he. I'm sorry, he's not necessarily he. He's like family to me. He's like my fourth child, my second son. So I refer to him as he, but could definitely be a she or a they or an it, anything that you want. So here are the different apps that, again, are free. Once you purchase the Photon robot, these are completely free. You can actually download these to your device now if you really wanted to. They're not going to work very well if you don't have the robot, but if you'd like to check them out, you're able to do that. There's Photon EDU, Photon Robot, and Photon Coding. And these apps, again, are designed to grow with students. So it starts with this Draw app, which really is for the earliest learners. It's all pictures. You draw with your finger to map out the direction you want the photon to go. Once you hit start, the photon follows that exact same path the student laid out. You can bring in the different sound and light and touch features as well. The students just drag them into those circles. It's very simple. It's very intuitive. It's great for pre-readers. It's great for students just starting to dip their toes into coding. After that, they're going to graduate up to badge, which is still graphic commands only. It's symbols. We've got arrows. We have pictures of the different features, like the touch command right here. This one shows touching his head. That will let him go. So this is all still very visual, but it introduces some more of the basic concepts and functions of programming for students. It's starting to introduce the variables and the loops and the algorithms with it as well. After they master badge, they're going to move on to the blocks app, and that is going to introduce the first text commands with Photon. It's going to build on all that knowledge that they acquired from those previous interfaces. And this one is similar to more complex apps like Scratch. And spoiler alert, Photon is also compatible with Scratch, which is really, really, really cool. Students can control the robot in more precise ways here. As you can see, it's got the measurements. They can have the robot moving very specific distances. You know, we've got 25 centimeters here, 10 centimeters down here. The students can control those distances that they're moving. And it can also use the robot sensors a little bit more. And then the final app that's built into the Photon ecosystem of apps is this code app, and it's the most advanced. It's really recommended for ages 10 and up, and it's based on text blocks, and it really introduces those more complex commands where the students have to, write in the type in the text. They have to be writing their own code. So once they get there, you might be like, okay, well, great. You say that's for 10 and up, but we've got 10-year-olds mastering this. How is this appropriate for junior high or high school students? Well, Photon is compatible not only with Scratch, but it's also compatible with JavaScript, MakeCode, Python, Makey, and microbits. So for that more advanced coding, you can use the Magic Bridge, the dongle that I talked about, to incorporate these higher level programming applications with the robot as well. I'll pause there. Were there any questions there, Kate?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, I must just be answering everything as we go. Very,
Efficient.
very efficient, very complete. So this is just a different view of the different applications that are built right into Photon. Got the draw, the badge, the blocks, and the code. And then this is a second application. So that application that I just showed here, this is the Photon coding application. So Photon really has 3 different applications. This is Photon coding, where the students can go in there and work on the one that's most appropriate for their level. The second application is Photon Robot, and this one is pretty fun. This one is really designed for individual use for students, or for the teacher to maybe put up on the interactive flat panel at the front of the room, and the class can go through it together. And that's another cool thing about Photon. You can control him from the panels in the front of the room, which is not something you can do with most robotics. So, you've got this huge platform up there that the whole class can look at and work from. But this basically tells the story of Photon, about how he came to Earth, and it has over 200 creative challenges set in the story that the students start very simple, very basic challenges, and then they work all the way through it. I think there's 60 total different challenges, but some of them have multi-steps in them. That's where they get the 200 creative challenges. So that's a pretty cool application. And then the final one is Photon EDU, which is, just the mecca for teachers. In here, educators and students can sign into this application. They can get into those basic 4 applications that I just showed you, but there's also lots of resources for teachers in here, different ready-made programs. Down here it shows different things that, the Photon robot, you click on it and the programming is already created for you. All you have to do is turn on the robot, connect it, and it will go through these ready-made activities like the color draw, the sounds, it's these fun icebreaker activities, just different things that you can do with your students as a group. And then down here are the ready-made programs that are built into it as well, just showing students and teachers different things that they can do with the Photon. There's some programs that have, all those different touch and light and sound sensors built into it. So just an idea, just a little taste to kind of get you going down that rabbit hole of creating your own programming and coding. So, and then easy, that was an important thing. I'm going through this one quickly. The Photon robot is so easy. This is it. It's this and a cable to charge it. This is it. You take it out of the box. It is plug and play. It is so simple. You don't have to put it together. There's not a bunch of parts. It's you take it and you go. It's very intuitive. It has a super long battery life, 8 hours. I know that when I was teaching, with a lot of my devices, if I was using it for the whole day, I'd have to spend a good amount of my lunch break plugging them in and charging them for my afternoon students. This is a true full 8 hour battery life. You can have this fully charged in the morning and it's still going to be working for your 7 to 8 hour students at the end of the day, which is huge because we know that every minute is precious. It's durable. I mean, I can't tell you how many times this thing has been dropped in classrooms and in expo halls. A wheel might pop off, but you just put that sucker back on and it's ready to go. It has a 2 year warranty. It is built for students. It is built for children. Okay. And they're made in Poland, which is great. This was more of an issue when COVID was kind of just happening and getting over. There wasn't a supply chain issue, but we've got these in stock. They're easy to get, and we're ready to ship them out to everybody who needs them. As far as professional learning and PD, this is so comprehensive. This is really where I get excited. Trifera, we do professional development, we do PD. We can come in, we can work with your school, we can work with your teachers, we can listen to who you want to use it with, and we can really help design a program, design a path that makes the most sense for you and your students and your teachers. We're happy to do that. We love to do that. If you have a specific subject or a specific grade level or anything that you have in mind, we can come in and we can help you tailor that. But in addition to that, Photon also has a whole bunch of professional development. On their website, which I'm going to show you in a second, they have the textbooks, they have the lesson plans, they have a portal, they have video courses, they have a help center, they have a Facebook community. It is all free. I was boasting on their website earlier. I'm going to show it to you, but all of it is so easy, so accessible, and right there. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention these Photon education kits, which are also on the website that I'll show you. They have these kits that are all packaged up. They have lesson plans in there. They have the mats. They have the accessories. They have everything you need for these different subjects. The artificial intelligence one is amazing. That one is super, super cool. But they have them for all grades from pre-kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade.
Anna, we've got a question.
Yes.
From Jerry. He asked, what about public libraries? So is there some resources, some professional development options for use in kind of a public library setting?
I
Is
guess
that your
so. Are we
question,
thinking
Jerry?
like summer reading programs, or I guess I need a little bit more details about, how we would use it. Would, students come in, is it just kind of a makerspace area where kids would come in and work with them? Because there's definitely programs like that Photon robot program. It's very intuitive. It walks them through. So a kid could sit down with a tablet or a Chromebook, get started with that first exercise and work their way through it individually. And if it was something like a summer reading program, I think it'd be set up very similarly to a classroom, depending on, what the topic was that you wanted to hit on. Again, there's lots of resources available, but for sure it could be used in libraries.
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything, library specific, but we would probably go into those ELA lesson plans. We'd probably have a heavy literature reading focus on it, talking about character development, working on those different story maps and things like that. But we could have a lot of fun creating resources for a library for sure. Jerry, if that didn't answer your question, please let me know and I can readjust. So.
Course correct.
Exactly. But I know that we've gone on for a while already. I promised that this would be a quick webinar. So I do want to show you the website real quick. If you go to photon.education, it's just such a great website. The first thing, if you scroll down, Down here, it's got the different teaching kits. It shows you the lesson plans, all of that. Right here are the different teaching kits. I love how they have this organized down here on this main page. You know, if you're like, well, I'm an elementary school teacher, what do you have for elementary? This will bring up all the different kits that they have out for elementary. If you want to click on the artificial intelligence one, and it will take you in there and it's going to show you all of the resources that are included with it. It's got a video that's super well done. You can even download sample lesson plans for it as well. These are all of the different topics that are within the kit, and it's just so comprehensive, the information that they have on here for each of the kits. Up here, as far as teacher support, this goes through all of the different, again, completely free resources that they have. They've got this Photon textbook that is designed for beginners. This is for teachers, you know, just getting started. It's got different lesson plan scenarios. It shows you how to use all of the different features of it, gives you different ideas. Just so clean and well done. And here we've got the portal for educators as well as lesson plans that you can get into. And this is really one of my favorite places. It's going to start playing right when I click on it, so I will pause it. But stop this asking is research questions to ChatGPT. Okay, so this is the course for beginners. These are these like 2 to 5 minutes, really snappy courses. They have 11 of them that just really takes you in a simple, straight to the point way of getting started with these robots, why they're great, what the features are, what to look for, and how to use them in your class. So, again, I strongly recommend you check out this website. Just so well done. The products and the teacher support are really the two ones that you need to take a look at. So, think I got in underneath the half an hour, which is good. I know I went fast. Are there any other questions?
Yeah. Jenny asks, is there a grant that will pay for photons for STEM programs at public libraries? And we might not have that information right now, but we could always track it down. Otherwise, Anna, if you have insight into that.
I do have a little bit of insight, Jenny.
All
I
right.
love that you asked that question because actually here at Trofero, we have a brand new initiative where we are starting to help write and find grants for educators, and I'm sure libraries would fall into that as well, helping schools and educators find grants. So if I can get your email information, we can absolutely, you know, individually help you look for that and find something to get you going with that. Would love for you
Awesome.
to be kind of in on the ground floor of this project that we have just started here within the last month. So
Great.
that was really excellent timing,
Yeah,
Jenny. I didn't
good
even pay
timing,
you
Jenny.
to do that. Yeah,
Jenny,
didn't
I've
even
got
plan
your
to.
Jenny, I've got your email address from registration. I will pass it to Anna to follow up with you for.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Let's see. I don't see anything else. Anna, I'm shocked you didn't bring up your book that you wrote around.
I should have added that. That's a great point. On our Trofero website, we do have our storybook hub, and there's one, the brand new one that's on coding and robotics, and there's actually kind of a nod to Photon in it. So if you go to trofero.com
I just put it in
and
the chat, Anna.
teacher resources, there's a free audiobook and downloadable ebook and lessons for that as well. So check that book out because that's great for K-5 students, all about
Yeah.
coding and future ready skills, and it would go perfectly with Photon for sure.
Yeah. Anna has created all sorts of books that teachers can use in their classroom as kind of companion pieces to larger, even larger lessons. And this one around coding and future ready skills in particular, I think some of
Yeah,
your best work, Anna.
yeah. Thanks, Kate.
It's
Appreciate it.
been great.
Kate was my illustrator for that one.
All
Graphic
right.
designer.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, so I have launched our exit survey. Please make sure to take that on your way out. Again, that's your way of raising your hand and saying, "Give me coffee." So definitely fill that out before you head out. We will leave that up for a little bit longer so people have a chance to complete that. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Thank you all so much for being here. The recording for this session will go onto our YouTube channel where we store all of our pre-recorded webinars. So if you want to share this with your peers, pass it along to someone who can buy Photon for your school, feel free to do that. It'll be live in the next couple days. We'll get coffee sent out. We'll follow up with anyone who asks for a follow-up in the exit survey, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you guys so much for being
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah,
And
thank you
thank
for
you,
being
Anna.
here. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye, y'all.